Gurur-Brahma, Gurur-Vishnu, Gurur-Devo Maheshwarah, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, my friends, we are understanding the second chapter. So, just a recap what we studied in the second chapter. It starts with Tapaswadhyay Ishwar Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. So, Kriya Yoga has three elements: discipline and education of the mind, and self study, and Ishwar Pranidhanani, meditation on the real self. One thing is clear, that if we do not study ourselves by studying these sutras, nothing happens in our life, no change. So, as we moved on, we understood that by practice of Kriya Yoga, we can achieve success in meditation and we can minimize the suffering. That is what. Then gradually the Patanjali took us to the klesha, the five causes of the suffering. And we understood avidya, asmita, rag, dvesh, avinivesh, pancha klesha. Now, as we moved further, we understood that there are impressions in the seed form that we cannot know. Then second level of impressions, just now, the Whitney saw the shirt and it triggered that impression. So I can make out that she likes this color. So that is hidden. That is hidden there. But they trigger when you find the right condition, right people, right time, right environment. So when I am using the right, it does not mean. Say, for example, you hate me and that triggers a reaction. So you become angry. So both happens. And the third type of impression is that we exhaust every day. The way we talk and speak and think and act. Clear? So gradually we move to the number 12. Sutra number 12. Kleshamulah karmashayo drashta adrashta janma vedaniyah. Kleshamulah karmashayo drashta adrashta janma vedaniyah. It's such a beautiful. So it answers another question posed by Christina last time. Klesha Moolah Karma Shayo Drashta Adrashta Janma Vedaniya. How many times we got upset last week? That created an impression for the next day. And that is being exhausted, maybe by having a big face, by having a reaction. And then the people say, I didn't say you anything, why you reacted to me? So it comes from the past impression, right? So there has to be some storehouse of that impression. And that storehouse is known as karma shaya. That is the meaning. We just recited karma shaya. In that storehouse of impressions, what happens from that storehouse of the impressions are they bring all kinds of experiences in the present life and in the future life. How many times you were angry last week? Storehouse. The mind does not forget anything. Mind keeps every impression. So you find the impression you became anxious, you are depressed in the yesterday, it is going to get carried forward. And that is how we experience pain, pleasure, likes, dislikes, duality, conflict in our day to day life. It has not come from outside. Outer factors are only the triggers. They triggered and the inner impression manifested. Got it? Let us move little further and see what Patanjali has to say. Now, that is another. Now, it gives us a deeper understanding in the 13th Sutra. Sati Mule Tadvipako Jatir Ayur Bhoga. Sati Mule Tadvipako Jatir Ayur Bhoga. What a beautiful. Sati Mule Tadvipako Jatya Jatya Ayu Bhoga. So you see that class in which we are born. Class means you can say gender, community. First, length of my lifespan of the body, plus experiences. Three things: class, length, experiences. And now say I have a lifespan of just say 50 years, even though I'm 61, just an example. So lifespan of 50 years, it from the previous birth, all those impressions are present in the storehouse that needs to be exhausted. But what kind of a body I will be born? That is decided by the previous impressions. That's why I see the most beautiful people with me. So perhaps you might have done something very good in the previous life. As far as the physical body, the class is concerned. What about other impressions at the mental and psychological level that you know better? This is what, now the Patanjali is opening up the basic fundamental philosophy of the entire Eastern wisdom, whether you say it is yoga, tantra, meditation, everything is same. So it means as long as the root is there. Now what Patanjali is there saying? That as long as these impressions are there, these impressions causes favorable, unfavorable condition, pain and pleasure, anxiety and stress. So what he's saying, as long as sati mule, as long as these impressions are there, they must ripen, means they must be exhausted. Clear? Let us move deeper. Te lahad paritap phala punya apunya hetu twat te ahlad paritap phala punya apunya hetu twat. Do it again. Te ahlad paritap phala punya apunya hetu twata. Whatever master is saying, they have a joy and sorrow for their fruits according as their cause is virtue and vice. Now we have to understand little more. This body, the present body that we all have, is based on the karma that we did in our previous life. It created the impressions, and those impressions gave the birth to this body. You understand? Now, those impressions are favorable, unfavorable. Why? If I have done something good work, it has created an impression of virtues. If I have done something bad in the last birth, then it has created an impression of vice or sinful actions. So, sinful actions, impressions are there, they give me sorrow in this life. Clear? And virtues, favorable, pleasure, conditions, they give me joy in this life. So, would you stop blaming anyone outside, including your honey and the kids from today? It is based on your impressions. Do you see that? Headstand will not do anything. Understanding these these philosophy will help you change your life. Now I know those impressions are favorable and unfavorable. Can I bypass that? That is what the yoga is. First, we have understood the cause. It means I am upset because of my impression, not because of you. Whether you like what I am talking, whether you dislike what I am talking. That is why you see that I am always happy. You listen to me, very good. Don't listen to me, very good. Where is the problem? So let us see the 15th Sutra. Now see, the solution is coming. First we will parinam tap sanskar dukh gun vratti virodhach dukkham eva sarvam vivekinah. I know you ease the burden of all those impressions, previous birth, favorable, unfavorable. But let us repeat it again. Parinam tap sanskar dukh gunavritti virodhach dukkham aiva sarvam vivekinah. Parinam tap sanskar dukha gunavritti virodhach dukkham aiva sarvam vivekinah. What a beautiful sutra. Now see, it eases the burden for everything. What it says? First, you are a person. You have understood the philosophy and the principle of yoga. Then, from the person, you become a student. We say, I'm a student of this university. You carry the burden of the books. I have to gain the credit. That studentship will not work. From the student, because now you understand the entire philosophy, you say, oh, favorable, unfavorable condition, likes and dislikes, pain and the pleasure. I'm living with it. I want to get rid of it. Then you become a disciple. The student carries the burden of the books on the shoulder. And then from the student, you become a disciple. So, disciple uh, is a translation of shishya. Shishya means that now I am deeply interested. So, the more interest you take and you start the practice, then you become a seeker. Now, who is a seeker? Who knows what is discernment? That is the last word, sarvam vivekina. You see, sarvam vivekina. So now what Patanjali is saying, you are a seeker who keeps the power of discernment. Who has the power of discernment that leads to dispassion. So what do you think now? You don't get upset. Why you don't get upset? Oh, it's apart from the coming from the previous birth. It has to be exhausted. Why should I worry? Let me maintain the calm. Huh? So those people who has developed discernment, all is misery on account of the pains resulting from the change, as also on account of the conflicts between the functioning of the guna and the vrittis. That is another part that needs to be understood. First thing, I'm happy. I have lot of problem in my life. Thank you. Let me rise above, face those challenges in equanimity of the mind. When that equanimity comes from viveka, discernment, power of discernment. Second part is more important, more interesting. The unique philosophy and the principle is that the entire world is nothing but the play of three gunas. Do you remember three gunas? Sato, Rajo, and Tamo guna. I am speaking, it contains 99% Sato guna, maybe 0.02% of Tamo and Rajo guna. It has to be there. Any action contains Sato, Rajo, and Tamo guna, including the body, the mind, intellect, plus the thoughts that I have at this moment. So there is an interplay of three gunas and the thought pattern plus the past impression. They causes pain, pleasure, likes, dislikes. Then why to worry? I am not the three gunas. I am none of these thoughts. Did you understand, Christian? It also answers, what to do with the memories of the past. Memory is a part of the three gunas plus the thought pattern. They do not belong to you. You are asking me how to get rid of it. There is no need to get rid of it. They do not belong to me. Body, mind, intellect, ego, everything is governed by the three gunas plus the thought pattern or the past impressions. They do not belong to me. That I think, that much is enough. Otherwise, if I go on speaking, it will take a lot of time. So now come to the next word. Now see another. Heyam dukham anagatam. Such a beautiful verse. Heyam dukham anagatam. Heyam dukham anagatam. So we understood, what did we understood? The storehouse of memory, impressions, that causes pain and pleasure, favorable and unfavorable condition. That is based on what we have done in the previous life or maybe yesterday. Consider the yesterday is my previous life. So, what this master is saying, you may have, Christina, 1 trillion negative impressions in your mind. What the master is saying in the Sutra number 16, the miseries which is yet to come can be avoided completely. How? Meditation. Heyam dukham anagatam. Huh? Anagata means that the miseries that is expected to come, that are meant to come, can be avoided. How? Meditation. Meditation, no, 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 I'm totally relaxed, I feel good. No, no. That doesn't help. Goody, goody. You know, after all, when you close your eyes and sit for half an hour, don't practice any meditation, you'll be relaxed. Huh, Brandy? Ask yourself, you'll be definitely relaxed. So it does not mean that that is meditation. So now see the 17th sutra, again a beautiful sutra. What causes, after all, this miseries in my life? What causes the suffering? A fundamental cause. That is, that is answered by the Patanjali in the 17th sutra. Drashta drashyayo sanyogo heya hetu. Drashtu drashyayo sanyogo heya hetu. Drashtars drashyayo sanyogo heya hetu. Do you still remember unholy wedlock? Huh? Do you remember what is that unholy wedlock between? That is the cause of all the miseries and sufferings in our life. This is what the Patanjali is saying. Unholy wedlock. So when there is an identification between seer and the seen, who is the seer? My real self. Who is the seen? You are the seen. So unholy wedlock. When I say I like this object or I like this person, so that I is the seer in the intellect, and the object is the seen. That object may be a person, maybe a time, maybe anything in the world. You purchase a beautiful cup, bring it home, taking a tea. Next moment it fell from your hand and it is broken. Now I'm identified with it. It is so costly. I purchased it $12. But the cup is still the clay. Nothing happened to the clay. I was attached to the name and the form. It's a very deeper understanding. I'm attached to the name and the form. Now, what it means? Name and the form may be husband, maybe wife, maybe son, maybe boss. See, from the cup, I took you to the real life condition. So he says the seer and the seen, unholy wedlock, they are not wedded together. It appears they have wedded. Hey, hey, too. Do you remember Four Noble Truths of Buddha? So we explain hey, hey, too, han, hanopaya. Do you still recall? I gave the talk. Here first, here he too. There is a cause of suffering. Han, absence of suffering, hanopayo. In the previous sutra, heyam dukham anagatam. Do you want to bring an end to all the miseries in your life? Then there is no option but to study yoga rightly. No styles of yoga, only yoga. Otherwise, God bless you. So let us do the 18th sutra. Now, 18th sutra. Now he is explaining what exactly is the scene. Seen means what is experienced, what is known. Do you know me? I am the known for you. Good, bad, high, low, that is secondary issue. Huh? So seen. Do you see? Do you know your house? That is also seen. Do you know your car? That is also seen. Do you know your body? That is also seen. Do you know your honey? If I'm adding if you have. So that is also seen. So now he is explaining the what exactly is the scene, and then we will understand who is the seer and how they blend together. They appear to blend together. Prakash kriya sthiti shilam bhutendriya atmakam bhog apvargarth drishyam. What a beautiful clarity. Now everything is clear in our life. And when everything is clear in our life, we take the right action. But we will talk later. Prakash kriya sthiti shilam bhutendriya atmakam bhog apvargarth drishyam. Prakash kriya sthiti shilam bhutendriya atmakam bhog apvarg drishyam. The entire world. Now let us start at the personal note. What is the personal note? The gender, the country, the parents. You don't have any choice in which you are born. Clear? Do you have a choice of the gender? Did you have a choice for the parents? That is the world. I must accept it cheerfully. Why? Why? Sometimes we blame and complain, oh, my dad and my mom and my honey, and everyone is crazy except me. So I have two options. Bhog apvarg. Huh? So it says, this entire world is given to me with a choice to evolve and enter into the highest yoga, or to fall back into the same ditch of pleasure and pain. So the cycle of birth and death continues in my life. Did you get it? The world outside. Did you know that I'm going to meet you and I'm going to give you the gossip? Did you ever dream of it? Did you like me or not? But Kate asked me, so I have to follow her order. So the entire world of events, of people, they come into our life to They can help me evolve. If I am a seeker, if I am not a seeker, then suffer. Suffer, have lot of sorrows, accumulate them. So the next birth, again, you will exhaust them, again, you will accumulate and continue this suffering. So he has used the two words, bhogam, apavarg. Apavarg means liberation, freedom. Bhog means enjoyment. Have you started thinking about your life? Good. That's the right approach to practice yoga. See that? Start thinking. See that? Prakash, Kriya, Sthiti, Sheelam. Abhutendriyatmakam bhogapavargartha drishyam. Now let us see what the next sutra says. What is it? Whitney and Alex, are you girls listening?
I'm here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. So now see the 19th sutra. विशेष अविशेष लिंगम मात्र अलिंगानि गुण parvani. So now he is going little deeper from those things. Vishesh avishesh lingam alingani. That is another way to understand. Guna parvani. Vishesh avishesh linga matra alingani guna parvani. So you see that when I was given a perfect condition, what that means, perfect condition? Perfect condition to evolve myself. That it does not mean that that perfect condition should be according to your likes and dislikes. That will not help you. What is that perfect condition? That perfect condition, when 4 people died in my family, one after the other, I had the intense desire to evolve. What about this birth and death? What the hell is going on? Let me evolve. Or getting depressed, both the choices are there. So every condition in our life, every event that takes place has a purpose. Can I accept that? Christina, if you had not suffered from your challenges, you should not have been listening to me. Thank God. See that? This is, so you accept all the conditions cheerfully. So this in 19th sutra, he says the stages of the 3 gunas are either particular or universal, differentiated or undifferentiated. Means what? That these gunas have millions of permutation and combination. Millions of permutation and combination. Maybe take a practical example. You may be liking something what I speak, and you may have some little disliking of what I speak. It is caused by the guna, 3 gunas. I'm not at all responsible for your liking and disliking. So similarly, my mind, the way my mind perceives is based on these 3 gunas. I'm making it very simple. There are a lot of explanation in that. So let us go to the another sutra. Every verse is beautiful. Now, Patanjali is explaining who is the seer. Did we understand the unholy wedlock between the seer and the seen? And we understood what is seen. Seen is this body. Huh? When he says, I don't like you. An example, I'm saying this. So this is the scene for me. I get upset. So this is the scene. Why should I get upset? I'm not the body. Say whatever you want to say. So now he is explaining seer. Drashta drashi matrah shuddhopi pratyaya anupashyah drashta drashi matrah shuddhopi pratyaya anupashyah. What a beautiful way to explain. Drashta drashi matrah shuddhopi pratyaya anupashya. Now, he is not only explaining what is seer, the real self, but he is also explaining what happens at the time of unholy wedlock. Unholy wedlock between seer and the seen. Right? So, what happens? First, he says that real self or the seer is pure consciousness. That is what I have been saying again and again and again in every session. Do you still realize that you are a real self, or do you realize that you are Kate and Bethany or Christina? The moment even your mind thinks I am Bethany, Brandy, Kate, and etc., you are bound to suffer. Internally, you know that you are the real self, means pure consciousness. And consciousness cannot be attached to anyone. First thing. So what happens to the unholy wedlock? That real self, mind borrows the consciousness from the real self. So the moment it borrows, there is a relationship. And that relationship is unholy wedlock. Then the real self, remains inside. Mind says, I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I am suffering. But that I is the real I, is behind. The mind claims I am suffering. Mind takes over the role. That is what the unholy wedlock. This is what the master says. Where lies the problem? That seer appears through the mind, and the mind says, I am Christina, I am Brandy, I am Kate, I am suffering. What happens in meditation? Unholy wedlock is broken. Got it? Understood it? Now, even if you do not understand, what should I do? You have to focus. So now see, 21st. Tadarth aiv drishyah atma. Tadarth aiv drishyasya atma. Tadarth aiv drishyasya atma. What is this scene, the world? World is for the sake of the real self. Finished. For what? Either to continue to enjoy pain, pleasure, accumulate the impression, pass on to the next birth. You have a good return ticket with full of pain and pleasure. Or decide today to pursue the path of yoga, to cancel the return ticket. Now only you have one-way ticket. Two options. Brandy, did you get it? Return ticket are normally can be purchased very cheap. Do you see? That is why we are suffering. So let us suffer. So the moment you reach to that consciousness, and when you see the people are suffering, you laugh inside. Why they are suffering? I don't know. I don't know. There is no reason. The very being of the scene, the world outside, is for the sake of the real self. But then I have a discernment. I am a seeker. I have a dispassion. I choose the right path. Look at the beauty of psychotherapy here. Anyhow, let us move to the 22nd Sutra. Buddha said, I am awakened. Now, this world that causes the suffering will never cause any suffering, but it will cause suffering to others. The entire world that is responsible for suffering is non existent for Buddha. But I see people are suffering, so it exists for them. Same, whether it is Buddha or Patanjali or Shankara, they talk of the same principle. Kritartha prati nashtam api anashtam tata anya sadharan tvata. Let us do it again. Kritartha prati nashtam api anashtam tat anya sadharan tvat. Sadharanatvat. Sadharanatvat. Let us do it again. Kritartha prati nashtam api anashtam tat anya sadharanatvat. I have already explained you the meaning. Although that world that causes the suffering is non-existent for those who are liberated, who realized the real self. Go to the third sutra of the first chapter. Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. Not for me, but it continues to exist for others. Why? Unholy wedlock. They still have unholy wedlock, so it will continue to exist. So we have a greater opportunity. We know you have unholy wedlock in your life. I know it clearly. So I want to solve it easily, but your mind creates more confusion. So you return to me again and again. That is how our profession continues. So anyhow, 23rd. So you understand. You enter into the wisdom. You live into that wisdom. Finished. You have money or no money. You are single or married. Yesterday, I welcomed a very promising young man who met with an accident in 2015. So both the legs are amputed from the knees. So he can walk. I have never seen during the last 3 years. I've seen a lot of people, but during the last 3 years, I have not seen a young man bubbling with the energy. We have legs or no legs. That is a part of the world. I'm the real self. And he was talking with a bubbling energy. You told me I am not the body. I'm doing very good. Look at it. So, purpose of now see that if there is an unholy wedlock since our birth, what is the reason? Why existence created that wedlock? So that is the answer. You see, you find the answer of every question. There is no mysticism. So, Swaswami Shaktayo Swarupa Upalabdhi Hetu Sanyoga. What a beautiful way to, if you have to contemplate, reflect, and once you get to that understanding, I can promise. Why should I promise? Patanjali promises that you bring an end to the suffering. But you simply read it and I'm reciting and you have, or you say, no, I have understood, that will not work. Sadhana, continuous practice. Swami Shaktayo Swarupa Upalabdhi Hetu Sanyoga. Swami Shaktayo Swarupa Upalabdhi Hetu Sanyoga. You see, third sutra, Tada Drashtu Swarupe Avasthanam. So we have the same word, Swarupo Upalabdhi. Means what? Why there is an unholy wedlock? Because we crazy human race should enter into discernment and dispassion, should understand this is an unholy wedlock so that I can realize my real self. So all our problems, worries, anxiety, duality, and a conflict, in a way, are helper on the path. Why it is a helper on the path? It builds a tremendous patience, tolerance, discernment, dispassion. You see, there is another way to look at it. You have a whiteboard and then you have a black pen. You need a contrast. In that process, the mind has to evolve. Otherwise, this mind will not evolve. So, he explains in a different way, Purusha and the Prakriti. That is also the unholy wedlock. Prakriti, the word. Purusha, we have understood Purusha, special Purusha. Klesha karma vipak. Paramrashta ashaye. Purusha vishesha ishvarah. My real self, an unholy vedla, separated. So one definition of yoga is separation of Prakriti from Purusha. It is not always union. Did you get it? Should we go further? Let's move further. So, and if your mind says, no, I have a different problem, you don't understand. All problems comes into this category. We try to be more intelligent. No, you're not saying, but your mind may be saying inside. So that's why I'm answering that. My master used to teach in he has a hypnotic spell of the cheerfulness and smile. Now see that what is the cause of this unholy wedlock? 24th Sutra. Tasya hetur avidya. Tasya hetur avidya. Tasya hetur avidya. Avidya. The ultimate cause of the suffering is avidya. Did we understand the five klesha, five sorrow and suffering? Avidya, smita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, pancha, klesha. Third sutra of this second chapter. Did you get it? Now the master is, making everything clear. It is ignorance. It is avidya means ignorance is the cause of all the suffering in my life. What is ignorance? Not knowing my real nature. Not knowing who am I. Are you getting it? No, but I know I'm Brandy, I'm Christina, I'm Kate. So then you will suffer. Why I said so? What is this? You will say bottle. Huh? What is this? Bottle. What is this? Bottle. Okay, let me break it. What remains? So the original matter is plastic. The name and the form, do they exist? It does not exist. It appears to exist, but it does not exist. This is Arizona green tea. Yes. Tasya hetur avidya. Now, I am fairly very intelligent. I don't have ignorance. How can you say that I'm ignorant? Are you suffering? Yes, I have a lot of suffering. Then you are definitely suffering. You are living in ignorance. That is the definition of our ignorance. We are not talking of illiteracy. Now let us go deeper. Now see, what is kavalya? Kavalya is a word used for freedom. Tadbhavat sanyogo abhavo hanam taddrishay kavalyam. Did I talk about it? He, hetu, han. Han means the absence of all the suffering. So word hanam is there. See that? All the four words that I explained previously. He, hetu, han, hanopaya. Then tadbhavat sanyoga bhavo hanam taddrishay kavalyam. One more time. Tadbhavat sanyoga bhavo hanam taddrishay kavalyam. What a beautiful verse again. So what it says? One definition of yoga. What we say, yoga is a union. So here what the master is saying, unholy wedlock between Prakriti and Purusha, seer and the seen, dissociate. Tadbhavat sanyoga bhavo. That is the solution. So once you separate it, what happens? Hanam. What is hanam? Absence of all the suffering. Where it leads to? Kavalyam. Kavalyam means liberation, enlightenment, awakened. You see? Who experiences anxiety and anger? Mind. Are you the mind? No. In your head, dissociate yourself from the mind. Mind, bye-bye. I'm not listening to you. The moment you have a dissociation in the field of awareness, the problem is gone. It is that easy. But this unholy wedlock is so deep. No, I will calm down, but my honey reacted to me. What he or she thinks of me? Another association, another unholy wedlock. I will never go to Costco to buy that because when I ate that, it gave me the problem. We create unnecessary problem in our day-to-day life. Why? Unholy wedlock. I can give you 1 million examples. When I listen to people, I understand. I said, okay, I got it. I know what you are doing. Understand, remember, earmark, mark these sutras where there is a word here, here, hetu. Either you can say directly hetu is the cause, the second of the Four Noble Truths. And the third is hana, hanopaya. Hanopaya is the fourth one, the method, the process. Let us move the. No, I'm just. Oh, Hanopaya has come into the next sutra. Vivek Khyatir Viplava Hanopaya. Vivek Khyatir Viplava Hanopaya. Vivek Khyatir Viplava Hanopaya, uninterrupted practice of awareness. So you can take it uninterrupted practice of meditation of the real is the means of removing that avidya, Hanopaya. 100 pranayama, 200 asana. I had a wonderful Kundalini teacher in New Jersey. She is a wonderful woman, but she is very frank. So I remember she is wonderful. Uh, I love her. She's very focused. But sometimes what happens, we that is why uninterrupted practice is required until we reach to that state. So she said, I left bacon, eating bacon. I said, very good. No, no, I'm just telling you, and you are totally vegan. I said, very good. Thank you. So after a week, she told me I was feeling very weak. So I started eating again. I said, very good. Why? Practice Hanopaya. What you eat and what you do not eat is secondary. Are you living in yoga or not? Is more important. You know what we yoga teachers do? I'm a pure vegan. No, I cannot leave. And your student says, I cannot leave chicken. So I build up my ego. See, I am a vegan. That is not teaching yoga. I have nothing to concern about. Yes, if you have certain problems, maybe stomach problem, other references, I can guide you. But I directly hit you. See that what I can do, you cannot do. I can do headstand, you cannot do. What the master Vivek Khyatir Viplava Hanopaya. Hanopaya, what is the method? Vivek Khyati. What is Vivek? Discernment and dispassion. Can you practice discernment by practicing asana? Don't take me otherwise. I am not against any practice of yoga. I am focused on what is the message. Vivek Khyatir, discernment should be settled completely in my intellect. That discernment cannot be settled by the practice of asana or pranayama or mudra. Are you clear? You got it? Very good. I don't see you clearly, Brandy. Two people are already hiding, but only light. So now, yes. Now go a little deeper. 27th Sutra, my friends. Tasya saptadha pranta bhumi pragya. Now he sees it. Now, first he says that, did you understand? What is Kavalya? What is freedom? What is enlightenment? Yes, I understood. So now he says, you say, do you think that, it is so easy? That is what now the Patanjali triggers your mind. Tasya saptadha pranta bhumi pragya. Tasya saptadha pranta bhumi pragya. You can reach to that state of enlightenment in 7 stages. So now he triggers your mind. Don't think that by listening, you have an unholy wedlock is broken and you have reached to the state of enlightenment. You have to practice. So in the previous sutra, what he says, uninterrupted practice of discernment. Vivek khyate. Vivek Khyatir Viplava Hanupaya, 26th Sutra, and this is the 27th. Then he says, what is that meaning of uninterrupted? Under that uninterrupted practice, you pass through the 7 stages of consciousness. What are they? That we will talk if we get Sunday's session, then we will talk about. It will become, otherwise, we need couple of hours for that. Now see that. Did you understand Vivek Khyati? Did you understand the 5 causes of suffering? Understood. Did you understand the unholy wedlock between the Prakriti and Purusha? That is the cause of all the suffering. Did you also understand why they brought together? 2 options. Either continue to enjoy, live in likes and dislikes, have a return ticket, or one-way ticket, liberation or freedom. So that's why he explained the liberation freedom. Now he says, Patanjali is asking you, did you understand? A little bit. Forget about what you have learned until now. So he says, by the practice of different components of yoga, you can reach to that stage. But be clear, because now Ashtanga Yoga is coming. We have Ashtanga Yoga style, I think, yeah. I don't know too much about yoga. Ashtanga Yoga, Vinyasa, something, lot of styles. So pay attention now what Patanjali is saying. But first understand this. Yoga Anushtan Ashuddhi Chaye Jnana Deepti Vivek Khyatahi. You have to repeat this, mark this, write down on your notebook, and you have to study this sutra again and again. Why Ashtanga Yoga? That is the answer. Yoga Anushtan Yogang Anushtan Ashuddhi Chay Jnana Deepti Avivek Khyate. Yogang Anushtan Ashuddhi Chay Jnana Deepti Avivek Khyate. Pay attention to this. Now, he says, did you understand the second chapter from the sutra number 1 to 27 sutra? Yes, I have understood. I am serious about it. You are already a medium level of seeker and you need not to practice further. But Patanjali says, did you understand? No. So he says that now I am explaining limbs of yoga. Why? That is very important. Why? First, he says, I am explaining the limbs of yoga. Why? For the destruction of impurity. And by the destruction of impurity, what will happen? There is an illumination, there is an awareness of the real self. Now ask yourself, you girls are great experts, to keep the body pure. Is he talking about purification of the body? We have to find out. Purification of the mind. You girls are extremely great experts for the purification of the body. Now I'm summarizing it in a very softer manner. What are you seeing? Destruction of impurities of the mind. When all the impurities are removed, the mind shines and awakens to the reality. Again, the same. You enter into you know the real self. You discover the real self. Now he says, what are the different organs of limbs of yoga? 29 Sutra. You already know it. Yam niyam asan, pranayam pratyahar, dharana dhyana samadhayo, asto angani. Ashtangani, 8 limbs. Yam niyam asan, pranayam pratyahara, dharana dhyana samadhayo, ashto angani, 8 limbs of yoga. But I have to understand with reference to the previous sutra. So what it means? I always keep focus. Impurity must go away. So when the impurity goes away, then I can enter into the higher journey, higher practice. What is higher practice? Samadhi. Before samadhi, it is meditation. So normally I'm using the word meditation for all the three. Got it? Yes, got it. So now that is why my master used to say that this is the third format of yoga. The first format of yoga, direct. Empty the mind of its content. You are a seeker. Follow the process. Second, you did not understand? You cannot do it? You failed. Follow the Kriya Yoga until 27 Sutra. No, what you say doesn't make any sense. Okay, then follow Ashtanga Yoga. So it gives you the idea of which level of a seeker you are. No, you guys are all higher level of seekers. I'm just explaining. So now we have already understood there are 8 limbs of yoga. And after that 8 limbs, now he is going to explain each and every limb of yoga. You already know that, I think. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha, Yamaha. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha, Yamaha. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha, Yamaha. There are two meanings, many meanings of Yama. So one meaning of Yam is the god of death. Two meanings in Sanskrit. Sanskrit words have multiple meanings. No, but here it is not applied. I'm just telling you. So Yama basically means to control within. I hold back. No, I'm angry. Say, for example, over the brandy, no, I should not do it. I should not. No. So control within. And niyama, rules of the road, it is outward. Understanding that reference. So inner working. What is that inner working? Inner working on the surface mind. Huh? So when I work on the surface mind means verbal, mental, physical. That comes from the meaning of the word yama. So it means, what are the 5 limbs of yama? Ahimsa, verbal non-violence, verbal non-violence, physical non-violence, mental non-violence. So every 5 organs of yama has 3 categories. So take only one, and then and you understand the yama. Some people you have seen that they flare up instantly, they react instantly. It's basically a physical violence. Some people hold they do the verbal violence. You told me I am crazy, you are crazy. You are crazy 10 times more than me. So that is one. And some people are very clever. They hold back their reaction. Diplomatic. They are feeling, they are feeling inside, but okay, I can understand. Mentally, you are verbalizing mentally, you are thinking mentally. So we have to get rid of all the 3 levels with reference to non-violence, with reference to truthfulness, with reference to non-stealing, with reference to now brahmacharya has a couple of meanings I will cover later. Aparigraha, non-possessiveness. Non-possessive, what I will do if I don't possess home, if I don't possess computer, then what will I do? How can I give you a lesson? How can I get the money? So it is mental. I'm not attached to the word. Computer is seer in the scene. Unholy wedlock. I don't create any unholy wedlock in my life. Computer will come, computer will go. Cup has come, it is broken, it is only clay. I know that it was clay before. Now it will be. I am the same guy. People gave me a name in the form husband, wife, children. Go back, go deeper. You have to think like this. Then it will change your life. So this is what the yama is. Let us go little. I think he is going to explain the niyama first, and then he is going to explain. What is the next sutra? I remember brahmacharya. I will explain you later. So what is the next sutra is? Yes. That's another part. You see that you have to understand that jati deshakal samay anavachinna sarvabhauma mahavratam. Beautiful sutras. So sometimes we misunderstand yama and the niyama in a different context. So this is what Patanjali is clarifying. I did not say you anything and you have told me so many things. I have already committed violence. So that is what he is talking. Jati desh kala samaya anavachinna sarvabhauma mahavratam. जाति देश काल समय अनवच्छिन्न सार्वभौम Mahavratam. These five woes, these five yama, I have to help the mind to reach to that state where these five yama is not conditioned by class, by place, by time, at all stages. Means what? I am very good before the teacher, but I am the worst before my near and the dear ones. Bring it to the daily life. That will help you to understand these sutras. Do you see that? Huh? That is what our dual personality. Dual personality means I don't want to use the word split personality. That is the domain of modern psychology. But who does not have a dual personality? Tell me. So it helps you to live in the state of cheerfulness, happiness, and joy in all conditions. So, 32nd sutra, after explaining niyama, now he comes to the niyama. Did you understand the difference between yama and the niyama? To control within. Or you can say the rules that you apply on your life. Niyama means the rules that you follow existing in the society. That is what the niyama is. Shaucha santosh tapah. 32 sutra. Shaucha santosh tapah. Swadhyaya Ishwar pranidhanani niyamah. Do you see the first sutra of the second chapter? If you leave the first two, he says it is Kriya Yoga. So out of 5 niyama, the last 3 niyama is what the Kriya Yoga is. The second chapter, first sutta, tapah swadhyaya Ishwar pranidhanani. So instead of niyama, he says Kriya Yoga. And now here he says, so now why he is saying? First, let us repeat it. Saucha santosha tapah swadhyaya Ishwar pranidhanani niyamah saucha santosha tapah swadhyaya Ishwar pranidhanani niyamah. Now go back to the first sutra. He says, Tapah Swadhyaya Ishwar Pranidhanani. So there the stress is discipline and education of the mind in the first sutra of the second chapter. The stress is there on continuously you have to practice. You have to be on your toes. Did you practice pranayam? Yes, I practiced. Did you practice? Did you discipline your mind or not? Did you get angry or you kept smiling throughout the day? So a lot of stuff is there in the first sutra. So here it is niyama, rules. Remain cheerful, my friend. Saucha. Saucha means purity. Purity is what? Physical purity plus mental purity plus emotional purity. So there in the first sutra, it is very deep. So it is for the middle level of a seeker. And this is for the lowest level. Do you know the purity? So we teach a lot of physical cleanliness, mental cleanliness, emotional cleanliness, then contentment, austerity. So again, the same 3: austerity, again discipline and education of the mind, self-study, self-surrender, constitute, These niyama. Let us move to the next one. What is next one? Oh, I didn't see the. So, what is the next one? Vitarkabadhani, Sutra number 33. Vitarkabadhani Pratipakshabhavanam. Vitarkabadhani Pratipakshabadhanam. Vitarkabadhani Pratipakshabhavanam. I'm burning in anger, say, for example, against the Kate. Huh? It never happened. Normally, it never happens. So, no, Kate is a very good woman. She is very good. She offered me, she told me to teach. Pratipaksh. Pratipaksh means opposite tendencies. I substitute thought of my anger, my reaction with the positive opposite feeling, opposite thought. What I used to do that, sometimes I said, I hate this guy. My master used to tell me, now go to that guy, offer him a cup of tea, invite him to your house. Not possible. Then he said, no, it is also not possible. I'm not going to teach you anything. So in the beginning, it used to be extremely tough. And then it became, when the mind changes, when your mind settles into the calmness, it becomes very easy. Can I tell you something? If you have your boss, huh, and you are forced to do the job, but you don't like the boss, every time you go to the boss, hi sir, how are you? Pratipakshava. We practice it. It's all a question of understanding. Do we do that, isn't it? Tell me. Don't say we have to do it. So I have to become aware why we should do it. Opposing tendencies in order to teach the mind, educate the mind. And I think we have one substitution therapy in the psychotherapy. You see, sir, it is an extension. 34th Sutra is an extension of the Sutra number 33. Huh? Did you understand the opposing tendencies? You see that if you don't enter into yoga, 99%, the moment your mind say, this guy is crazy, and then your mind starts the story. In what situation, in what condition, when and where, how many times this guy has been crazy. We have to give a break there. So now 34, you see the Eastern psychology, how deep it. Vitarka hinsa dayah kratah karit अनुमोदिता क्रोध मोह पूर्वका मृदु मध्य अधिमात्रः दुख अज्ञान अनंत फला इति प्रतिपक्ष भावनम. You see the pratipaksha bhavanam, the last two words in 33 and 34 are same. So this is an expansion of the same sutra. Vitarka hinsa daya kratkarit anumodita क्रोध मोह पूर्वका मृदु मध्य अधिमात्रः Agyan Anant Phala Iti Pratipaksha Bhavanam. One more time. Vitarka Hinsadayah Kratkarit Anumodita Lobh Krodh Moh Purvaka Lobh Krodh Moh Purvaka Mradu Madhya Adhimatrah Dukh Agyan Anantaphala iti Pratipaksha Bhavanam. So do you understand the Pratipaksha Bhavanam? I have to reverse that opposite feeling. Internally first. Sometimes what we do, now I have already said sorry you 3 times. Why don't you understand? This is not Pratipaksha Bhavanam. No, sometimes you have seen people, they do it. So this is not what the Patanjali is teaching. So now understand a couple of things here. So what he says, first he says these reactive feelings are of 3 categories: mild, medium, and intense. Right? First he says this. What are these normally feelings? Greed, anger, and delusion. Greed, anger, and the confusion. They live into 3 categories, 3 levels, 3 superlatives. Huh? Can I say good, better, best? So you will understand that's why I'm using the word. So improper thoughts and emotions done by me or done through the others to me, yeah, with reference to greed, anger, confusion, they belong to 3 categories: good, better, or best. And I know that you have understood, so I'm not. So I have to use the Pratipaksha Bhavanam, opposite tendencies, opposite thought, opposite feeling. What I have to do if a person is good or bad? Did I give him the birth? No. Even if I give him the birth, the moment I give him the birth, he is independent of me. So I invoke the principles of Eastern wisdom to get rid of these opposing thoughts that disturbs my mind. You see that, I say I love you guys, girls. And the moment if my mind says, if I openly say, oh, I like person A, I hate person B, that person B will not be able to sleep tonight. So mind hurts when something opposite negative feeling is there. So it means what? I should continue to invoke the positive thoughts and the feelings to change my mind, my emotions, my life. That is the brief understanding. We are understanding briefly so that even if we do not cover, at least I can say to my boss Kate that I have done everything what I could do. And you cannot complain to Kate. I've done it. No, it takes understanding little at every point. Now, 35 Sutra. Ahimsa pratisthayam tat sannidho vairtyagah. Ahimsa pratisthayam tat sannidho vairtyagah. Ahimsa pratisthayam tat sannidho vairtyaga. By the regular practice, 3 levels. Now we are talking of yama. Yama, 3 levels. So we are talking of non-violence. Non-violence at verbal, physical, and mental level. It is not that, outside I'm smiling, internally I'm reacting. That will not work. That will cause a conflict and split personality in me. So I should warn myself, mind, don't do that. It is harmful to you. So now what he says, I remember, have you seen lot of YouTube videos where, those hunters are befriend to the lions and the tigers, they hug each other. Understand that point in the current context, and then go back and understand this sutra. So that lion and the tiger drop their violent attitude. So are they yogi? Are the hunters the great yoga masters? There you can understand the difference between the two. They are not yoga masters. They have conditioned those lion and tigers. That is one aspect. So here what it is an inner cultivation of non-violence. Now you get it? The difference? Inner cultivation of the non-violence. Your mind, your intellect, your ego remains in the state of non-violence inside. Then what happens? We are settled in non-violence, and then there is the hostility or the reaction of every living being drops down. It is this meaning. So you have to be very clear. The hunter will say, I am a greater yoga master than you. Come on, I can hug lion. Can you hug it? You have been doing headstand for 5 years. Do it, show me. So we have to understand it is an inner cultivation. So when the inner cultivation is there, again go back. 2 points are there. The total, complete purity of the mind, so that the real self manifests and express itself through the mind. And second is a tremendous, remarkable focus on the real self, which is natural to the mind. Why there is a remarkable focus? Now the mind understands 100% the happiness is inside. It is not outside. It will not go out. In a normal, I'm just explaining briefly. Very good. You understand? Very good. So let us go to the next one, 36. So what happens? I remember something regarding the truth. What is that verse is very good. Satyam bruyat priyam bruyat satyam apriyam. Satyam bruyat priyam bruyat. Speak the truth. But also, when you speak the truth, speak sweetly. Satyam bruyat priyam bruyat. Satyam apriyam. And there is a word line. Never speak that truth which hurts people. So that also comes under truth. So there is a very long, lengthy understanding and definition of the truth. So once we understand that, then what he says, Satya pratisthayam kriya phal ashrayatvam. Satya pratisthayam kriya phal ashrayatvam. Satya pratisthayam kriya phal ashrayatvam. So when I am completely settled in the truth, we are not talking of a truth, of a justice system where the lady completely, blocks her eyes. We are not talking of that truth. Remember that. Don't compare that. We are talking with reference to the absolute truth. And what is that absolute truth? It is self-existent, it is self-evident, it is self-luminous, it is all-pervading. So when we are settled into that truth, what happens? Truthfulness. Huh? Fruit rest on the action. What happens? Fruits rest on the action means what? Then you are able to speak spontaneously, and whatever you speak, that becomes true. It used to happen to my master. And very small things he used to say. So he used to tell me Yogi Raj. Yogi Raj means king of yogi. Though I do not stand anywhere, but out of love and affection. He says, you see, now three people are coming and they are bringing lot of fruits. You have to take care of them. And then he used to start again speaking. And it used to happen. From the small to the big issues and the challenges. Satya pratisthayam kriya. Let us go. Now what happens? Non-possessiveness. Nothing belongs to us. We are a guest in the world. Huh? Our station was US. I changed many stations and I landed up in US. You see, that is known as non-possessiveness. No, that is astheya. That means, it is aparigraha. I just talked about the 38 Sutra, but it astheya, it is means non-stealing or honesty. So they both are related to each other. Non-possessiveness. What a beautiful specs Kate is wearing. I should have one. Even that thought comes under a mental possessiveness. So I have to maintain that awareness that this should not come into my mind. Why? Because it causes a lot of reactions, hesitation in the mind. So I jumped into the 38 Sutra. So asteya pratisthayam, asteya pratisthayam, sarvaratnopasthanam, asteya pratisthayam, sarvaratnopasthanam. 37th Sutra. Asteya pratisthayam, sarvaratnopasthanam. So when I am totally established, settled in the honesty of all kinds of gems present themselves before me. What it means? My master used to say, you keep your mind clear on this issue. Everything in your material life will fall into right place. I am running. That is what, I was talking about this young guy. He said, he works in the New York City. He said, sir, my colleagues, he is hardly under 30. He says, my colleagues are always hooked to the computer. They wake up at 5 a.m. and they are hooked. They are constantly running. Why you are running? Tell me. To have some more money? But why you want money? To buy the things? Why you want to buy the things? To be happy. So why don't you start happiness from today, from this moment? And he was explaining, I was so delighted to listen to this guy. He has been attending my sessions for, sir, I have got this. These changes are these changes right? Because I'm alone in the mob of 100 employees in that organization. I said, never be influenced. If you want to get influenced, you have to be influenced by me. By me means the principles of yoga. So this is what the Patanjali is explaining. You stop worrying. You stop running. Fix your agenda. Work accordingly, and you will see what is the goal of working? Self-fulfillment, not desire fulfillment. That is the goal. Goal of life is self-fulfillment, not the desire fulfillment. So now comes the 38th sutra. Brahmacharya pratisthayam viryalabha. Brahmacharya pratisthayam viryalabha. Brahmacharya pratisthayam viryalabha. Majority of the translators have said that you have to have a sexual control, sexual continence. No. So that is one meaning for those who are crazy, who are obsessed. We have found those people now on the internet. A lot of stuff is going on. They get obsessed. That is one aspect. But here it means the brahmacharya. The mind is living into the self. It is constantly reminding the real self. That is one meaning of brahmacharya. That is exactly the real meaning of the brahmacharya. So when I am settled, my mind is constantly reminding me of the real self, of the nature of peace and happiness. What happens? I experience tremendous energy and enthusiasm in my life. Otherwise, the same mind is scattered in millions of directions outside. Should I tell you an interesting thing? Especially in Hatha Yoga. No, we understand, once you learn in detail, which book? It is again a Hatha Yoga book. They makes you crazy if you study every sutra. But if the right teacher is not there, definitely, then there is no chance that you don't become crazy. Sankalpo dhyavasayascha kriya nishpatti raivacha. I'm forgetting the first phrase. What it means, I tell you. So those who are completely living an animal life of passion, they cannot control themselves. Huh? Do you understand what I'm saying? They do not control. So that master explains there are 8 types of sexual intercourses, out of which included, what is included? Even if you see the opposite sex, that amounts to sexual intercourse. So the message is very clear for those people. So you are talking to the opposite sex separately in a separate room. That also amounts to the sexual intercourse. So like this, they have categorized 8 different types. So we have to understand based on our level of evolution. I just came to my mind. My master taught me long, almost 35 years. Now comes the non-possessiveness. Aparigraha 39 Sutra. Aparigraha stharyai janma kathanta sambodha. Beautiful. Aparigraha stharyai janma kathanta sambodha. Aparigraha stharyai janma kathanta sambodha. It is such a beautiful. I already discussed about this non-possessiveness. So it should be in the mind. I told you that I changed, with reference to the country, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 4th country. And now I'm a citizen. So we are still a guest house in the world. We are still a guest house in the world. So what is the meaning of the guest house? Nothing belongs to me. Now see that nothing belongs to you. Will you get angry? No, no, I can say honey does not belong to me. I feel it mentally. But the problem is that he or she belongs to someone else. That is the problem. Same way, oh, my neighbor has a luxury car, I don't have it. You can just think of it, start explaining yourself. These smaller things causes lot of problems in your mind. So what he says, when you are settled into that attitude that nothing belongs to me, it doesn't mean that if you come to my home and you say, give me the computer if it doesn't belong to you, why should I give you? How dare you ask me? Yeah. So, it's a very clarity. You have to apply the principle with a clarity. Huh? That is what the 39th Sutra is. 40th Sutra, come on. Oh, we have. Now, what happens with the purity? Sauchat swanga jugupsa parahi asansargah. Sauchat swanga jugupsa parahi asansargah. Sauchat swanga jugupsa parahi asansargah. A simple translation is from the total physical purity. Huh? Purity arises. How it arises? When I look deeply into my body. Why? When I deeply understand so called my body, why? So that I have a total detachment with the body. Can I be little tough? I'm seeking your permission. So when we learn the higher and higher journey, then we come to the body. So there are a couple of texts which says, tell me, Master is asking, tell me which beautiful product comes out from the 9 holes when you wake up in the morning. Means what? Disgust. That is the word meaning jugupsa. You see, we were taught, in a traditional discipline, you are taught such, your mind becomes so much firmly settled that this body does not belong to me. Finish. Every day in the morning through the eyes, look at it, you have to clean your eyes, you have to clean your teeth, your mouth, ears, yeah, anus, and all the holes. So yoga goes to that deeper extent. Outside, goody, this body. Do you see that? And then what happens the moment you have identification with the body? I guarantee that the moment you look at others' body, oh, his and her nose is more beautiful than mine. I said, looks good, but I'm not so good. I'm not so beautiful. Problem begins. So when you have jugupsa in a positive way, you understand clearly what is inside the body that comes out every day. So what happens when we have that discernment with the body? So now the word here comes discernment with the body leads to the physical purity, and the physical purity leads to asansargah, non-attachment. There are two meanings. There is also another meaning that we will take up later. A lot of other stuff, So let us see 41 Sutra. Sattva Suddhi Somanasya Eka Somanasya Ekag Ekagra Indriya Jaya Atmadarshan Yogatvani. Sure, do it again. Sattva Suddhi Somanasya Ekagra Indriya Jaya Atmadarshan Yogatvani Cha. Sattva Suddhi Somanasya Ekagra. I'll just read it. Ekagra is also good. Indriya Jaya Atmadarshan Yogatvani Cha. Now what he's saying, now he added one thing. Mental purity, sattva suddhi, arises. So when there is a mental purity, then what happens? Sato guna. Sato guna awakens in the mind. So when you have a sato guna, then only you are always cheerful. Knowledge plus happiness. These are the two big characteristics of sato guna. And when you have a cheerfulness, sato guna is there, then you have control over the senses and you have a clarity of the vision. Means in day-to-day living, you are living into that state of clarity. Did you get it? Without sato gunas, the quality of sato guna, two main qualities: happiness, knowledge; joy, knowledge; cheerfulness, knowledge. These two qualities, only when the sato guna is there. So that is known as the mental purity. So what happens? Gradually you will discover that how beautiful the life is. Your honey says you are crazy and you say how beautiful the life is. How beautiful, handsome you are. Now I'm not going to women liberation, Don't go there. We all are women, so don't go there. It has nothing to do with that. I've already faced, a lot of challenges with the giving guidance to them. So it is your inner sato guna. You enter into that state of joy and happiness. Let us do one more 40-second, and then we will pick up. What happens to if you live in that contentment? Santoshat anuttamaha sukhlabha. Santoshat anuttamaha sukhlabha. Santoshat anuttamaha sukhlabha. What he says, when we have a contentment, we are living into the highest state of happiness. Contentment. Again, it is a mental quality, is a mental attitude. Santoshat anuttama. Unexcelled, unsurpassed, superlative, highest happiness. So there is a gain of highest happiness when we start living in contentment. It is not that, you see that, I have been living in contentment for the last 10 years, but I have a lot of stress. So I have to examine myself. I have to constantly examine. No, I divorced my honey and now I'm going to marry. I'm living in contentment. Why you divorced? First reason. Why you plan to remarry? No, I'm not challenging you. What is happening at the social level, that is different. I'm just explaining the principles of yoga. Unnecessary, unwanted invitation to the problems in our life is what the discontentment is. An opposite of this is contentment. So plan to have lot of questions